Frozen 2 continues Anna and Elsa's story 6 years after the events of the first film. Arendelle has experienced a time of peace during these years, but one night, dangerous elemental happenings force everyone to evacuate the kingdom. Elsa decides to follow a mysterious voice that has been calling to her for a while now, leading her and her friends to an enchanted forest with a dark past, in the hopes that it could help them restore their home. Frozen took the world by storm back in 2013. The songs were always being played and people were constantly talking about it. It was a phenomenon, and one look at its box office earnings told you that a sequel was less of a possibility and more of an inevitability. However, that also comes with the expectation of living up to the original, which most people seem to love. Personally, I think it's a really good film that suffers from some massive structural issues. But I don't want to get too into it because I'm here to talk about Frozen 2, though I will be comparing the two movies quite a bit. Right off the bat, this sequel gets some major points in my book for shifting the focus from Anna to Elsa. One of the problems I have with the first feature is that Anna is treated as the main protagonist, when it should really be Elsa, whose character arc is the central conflict of the story. I mean, look at this poster for the first movie. Elsa is pushed to the back along with Hans. That doesn't feel right. Thankfully, Frozen 2 puts Elsa front and center, right where she should be, and this does wonders for the narrative. The picture heavily explores Elsa's internal struggle between her responsibilities and her desires, along with the theme of maturity and change, which is a major overarching motif in the film. And I'll say this right now, I think the movie absolutely nails just about everything having to do with Elsa's storyline. The trials she has to face cause her to grow and develop as a character, and allow us to learn a lot more about her. Additionally, the themes are well implemented and enhance this portion of the movie greatly. But Elsa's not the only character in this film, and I kinda wish she were. Anna, Kristoff, Olaf, and Sven all return, but nothing really substantial is done with them. Anna is handled the best out of this group, as her usual optimism is frequently challenged, especially during the third act. But taking a step back and looking at her story, she's chasing after Elsa just like she did in the original. We're retreading familiar ground. Kristoff, I don't even know why he's here. He's present during the first act, but once he sings his song, he outright disappears until near the end. When he is on screen, he spends most of his time trying to propose to Anna, but it always fails for one reason or another. This offers nothing for the character. He doesn't really learn anything except that he loves Anna, which he already knew, that's why he's proposing. So this plot thread is played more like a running joke. The filmmakers try to go for the laugh during these moments, and it gets old quickly. Not to mention the fact that it forces Anna to act completely out of character for some of the jokes to even work. Sven is irrelevant. Moving on, we come to Olaf. Here's what I'll say. If you love Olaf, you will probably love this movie. If you're not a big fan of Olaf, then tough luck, buddy, because he's all over this thing. I can see why he works so well in the first picture. He doesn't appear until, halfway through? Here, though, you're gonna see a lot of him. For me, I think he's fine. He makes me laugh sometimes, and he's got some hysterical bits in this outing. But I also think he could be too much, and that really shows in this sequel, which brings me to my next point, the tone. Frozen 2 suggests that it's going into darker territory than your normal Disney fare, and this is true to an extent. I think all the scenes with Elsa tackle this aspect wonderfully, but whenever the focus switches to one of the other characters, you feel like you're watching a different film. It's like all the stuff with Elsa is Frozen 2, but everything else is Frozen again, just not as good, if that makes sense. A lot of this comes down to the tonal inconsistencies. You can have a deep introspective scene followed by a throwaway gag that hinders the impact of anything serious, with Olaf being the main culprit. It's as if Disney is trying to cater to two different demographics. It doesn't work, and severely hampers the potential this movie had. Something else that really bothered me was how predictable the picture is, specifically when it comes to some of the mysteries and twists. I know, this is a Disney movie and the primary audience is young children, I get it. But it's also geared towards adults in many respects. So when you have storylines and morals that relate more to an older demographic, you should have a plot to match it. What we get instead is plenty of paint-by-number plot points that are so easy to figure out, you're left waiting for the movie to catch up to you. Let's flip back to some positives and talk about the music for a second. I think this is a killer soundtrack, and even better than the music from the first Frozen. Yes, you heard right. Everyone was waiting to see if there would be a song that could compare to Let It Go. Well, I got news for you. We've got two contenders in Show Yourself and Into the Unknown. And in my opinion, Into the Unknown is easily the best of the bunch. But this movie's got more than just two hits on its hand. There's Lost in the Woods, which is Kristoff's song. On its own, it's great, but the film does something unexpected with it. Even though the visual choices are more glaring examples of tonal discontinuity, it's still pretty entertaining. Baffling, but entertaining. Once again though, this is like the Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin remakes, where we have a good song that has no reason being in the film other than to give a character who didn't sing the first time a shot at the mic. All Is Found is a remarkable folk song that gives the world much more personality, and the new rendition of Voulier is solid, though I do kinda wish they used the glacial version from the trailers. And Anna's song, The Next Right Thing, is extremely powerful in a vacuum, but is weakened by one of the people she sings about. Overall, this is a magnificent collection of songs. During the third act of the film, a very bold decision is made that will bring about a lot of good, but not without a high cost. I couldn't believe it when it was happening. However, the movie finds a way to eliminate this cost at the last second, thus giving us an ending with a pretty little bow and everything being perfect. This development is a great way to summarize Frozen 2. It tries to go for daring concepts and dark subject matter, but always remembers that it's supposed to be a kids' film and kids aren't supposed to think about things like that for some reason, so it never fully commits to those ambitions. The result is an uneven picture with a serious identity crisis. Like I said, all the mature stuff is fantastic. It's when the movie takes a step backward and plays it safe that it falters, and it does this a lot. What saves this film is the marvelous music, the incredible visuals, Elsa's absorbing character arc, and the well-executed themes. I think Frozen 2 has much higher high points than its predecessor, but Frozen is the more consistent of the two because it knows what it wants to be. I like this movie, and I love big chunks of it, but there are so many poor choices that hold it back from being great. It's not bad, not at all, but it is disappointing. I give Frozen 2 a B. Thank you so much for watching this review. If you liked the video, then please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for similar content because that would really help me out. You can also follow me on Twitter at MiamiMovieMan, and if you want to keep up with what I'm watching, then go ahead and look me up on Letterboxd as well. I'm the Miami Movie Man, and I'll see you in the next video.